So for Cat 2 protocol, the first thing that we want to do is have our patient, she's going to lay face up on the table for me. And the first thing that we're going to do is a leg length analysis. It's just going to be just like the prone one. So I'll bring her legs out 14 inches. I'm going to push in and have her resist against me. Good. And then I'm going to bring her back in. And I'm going to check the medial malleolus to see which one's shorter. Her left leg is shorter. So I would then next do an arm fossa test starting from the right side. I would have her bring her arm up. Have her point thumb up, palm in the middle, making a light fist. And first I would check to see if her strong arm, so I'd have her resist against me. And then I'm going to check her fossas. I would check her upper fossa, resist, her lower fossa, resist. I would then go to the other side of the patient, doing the same thing, making a light fist, thumb pointed upward, test for a strong upper fossa and lower fossa. If any of those 4 fossas, you can put your arm down, if any of those 4 fossas were weak, that would be a definitive test for Cat 2. I would then want to do a congruency test. By doing that, if I was checking if a lower fossa was weak, I would want to check for lateral knee pain on the long leg side. If a upper fossa was weak, I would want to check for medial leg pain on the short leg side. Okay, so the next portion is going to be Cat 2 blocking, and we're going to block according to the short leg side. What we want to do is, remember that left leg was the short leg. That is going to be inserted block at the level of the iliac crest, and I'm going to practice active blocking by having the patient raise up while I place the block. On the long leg side, I'll come down to the greater trochanter and at a 45-degree angle, I'd place the second block. Cat 2, I don't want to block for any longer than 2 minutes, and my goal here is to have 4 strong fossas. So I would come and check. I would redo the AFT, so I would have her thumb up, light fist, all that. I would check, and I would recheck the fossas. And I want to recheck all 4 fossas. Now, outcomes of that. If I have weak fossas that go strong, then I know I'm on the right track. If I have any strong fossas that go weak, I've blocked improperly. I need the patient to get up and walk around and redo the leg length analysis and block accordingly. And if I have a weak fossa that's not getting weaker, that's not getting stronger, then I need to augment. The 3 different ways to augment are going to be 1, wiggle the blocks. 2 is going to be apply 10 seconds worth of pressure on the thighs. Make sure that I'm not over the blocks. And then 3 is going to be go opposite the blocks and apply 10 seconds of pressure there. Now, originally, if I had weak fossas that go strong, I would remove the blocking, and I would do that by simultaneously pulling out the blocks. After we do this, we know that we have weak fossas that aren't getting stronger. We would do the augmentation, and then we would move on to basic 2. Now that we've blocked for Cat 2 and we wanted to check next for cranial faults, what I did was redid the leg length analysis. Her left leg was still short. So in order to test for cranial faults, I want to come to her right side. I want to take one of the strong fossas. Go ahead and put your arm up, thumb up, light fist facing inward. I would take the strong fossa and I would test. I would have her inhale as deep as she can, and I would test. And I would have her exhale all the way out, and I would test. That's going to tell you whether you have an inhalation fault or an exhalation fault. Now, in order to correct for those, I would sit down in front of the patient. I would take my left hand, put it on the occiput, with my right hand on the frontal bone. And what I would do is I would have her breathe in, putting the tongue on the roof of her mouth and pointing her toes upward. I would have her breathe all the way out, relaxing the tongue and pointing the toes downward. If she had an inhalation fault, I would have her breathe all the way in, and on the way out, I would apply pressure in an I to S direction, like so. If she had an exhalation fault, whenever she was breathing in, I would apply pressure in an S to I, as such. Now, next thing that I want to do, left leg was a short leg, so we want to take her leg on a lateral to medial direction. So I come up this way and do this 3 times. So come up, lateral to medial, lateral to medial. I would then go to the long leg side. I want to take this one medial to lateral. So I would do the same thing. I would go medial to lateral. All right, after I've done basic 2, I want to, in quote, lock in the adjustment. So I would take her arm, have her bring it back up like we were doing an arm fossa test, thumb, light fist, and everything. I would have her resist as I try to push upwards. While she's resisting, I make a quick little thrust. Next thing is sacral cupping. For sacral cupping, we're going to be testing the sacrum. So what I want to do is have the patient raise each leg 30 degrees off the table. So we'll begin with the right. She'll raise her leg 30 degrees off the table. I'll stabilize opposite iliac crest, and I will apply pressure downwards, testing for strength. I would repeat on the other side. So go ahead and you lift your left leg. I would test there. Now, if one of those was weak, I would want to test the sacral cups. So for the sake of argument, we're going to say that she had a left weak leg. So I would test between S1 and S2. I would have her lift the leg. I would apply pressure, test for strengthening on that weak leg. If that didn't go strong, I would go between 3 and 4 and do the same thing. Whichever one of those cups made the leg stronger would be the one to adjust. So we'll say it was 3 and 4 on the left. I would apply a P to A pressure for 5 to 10 seconds. After doing which, I would have her raise the leg again. I would stabilize and make sure it was strong. The very last thing that we're going to do is the trap fiber analysis. This comes from breaking up between the acromion and T1 into 7 areas, in which I will palpate along each, asking the patient to tell me which of those areas was the most tender. 4. So we have 4 on the right. We then go to the left side and repeat that same process, palpating along each of the 7 areas, asking the patient which feels most tender.
4.
4 as well. Was it the left or right?
The right.
So the right side, area 4, felt most tender. We can correlate that using to decide which area to adjust and which area of the spine. For the cervicals, that would be C4. For the thoracics, that would be T6. And for the lumbars, that would be L2. Whenever we know what we are, for the cervicals, you do a stair-step correction. For the thoracics and lumbars, you would do a knife edge, completely I to S adjustment on that area. So if we were at T4, I could come in and apply a straight I to S thrust on the area to adjust it. Then we would go back and repeat the trap fiber analysis to see if it's gone.